What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the Spitting Statistician, and today we got to talk about what we saw week 2 against the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills absolutely curb stomp the New York Jets in MetLife Stadium. 30-10 is the final. And unlike last week, when we lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, where there was a lot of moral victories and learning experiences and positives and things we could take, that was not the case yesterday against the Buffalo Bills. The Jets looked like blunt guts trash. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was accountable for it. No one tried to sugarcoat it. The Jets looked bad against the Buffalo Bills pretty much in all quarters, in all phases, the entire time against a team that is one of the Super Bowl favorites and showed that there is still a gap for the developmental process, the turnaround, and the Glennaissance, which we do still believe in here in Jets Latest. And if you want to be a Jets Latest insider, click on that link in the description, but there's no sugarcoating it. The Jets looked bad on Sunday, and Aaron Glenn was at the microphone talking about it, so were all of the team leaders. Listen to what Aaron Glenn had to say. When it comes to this game, very disappointed. All three phases, to be honest with you. There's no stone that won't go unturned figuring out the issue. Apparently, I didn't have the guys ready to play. It's not okay to lose like that. But I do know this. I've been here with two teams, in New Orleans and with Detroit. The one thing I know is we're not going to waver, not one bit. The brand that we say we're going to play that type of game, and our guys will get better. We got to get back to work. We will on Wednesday, and I know we will do that. And, I guess, I like, again, the accountability. I like the not sugarcoating it. I like the calling a spade, right? But at some point, we do have to see development. This was definitely regression from week 1. And some of the same silly stuff popped up. Listen to what Glenn had to say. He goes, some of the penalties we had were things that we talked about and shouldn't allow to happen. Maybe I got to emphasize those things even more. Other than that, they kept the ball and we didn't. It's just that simple. I mean, listen, another 5 penalties. They lost the turnover margin again with the Justin Fields fumble. They haven't had a takeaway now in 2 games. The Bills dominate time of possession. And Aaron Glenn, you also saw Aaron Glenn going hard on Michael Clemens after a 15-yard personal foul penalty. I wonder, we cut Xavier Gibson last week. I know if another message is coming our way, but quite frankly, the Jets just absolutely laid an egg in most areas of the game. The offense was no different. The offense was not moving the ball like we did against Pittsburgh. I mean, look, the Jets had 54 net passing yards against the Bills. Justin Fields went 3 of 11 for 27 yards before he got concussed. He did leave the game with a concussion, right? I mean, Breece Hall, who ran through Pittsburgh last week for 107 yards, had 10 carries for only 29 yards. 0 for 11 in third down conversions. We allowed 4 sacks. This was different. I mean, Garrett Wilson was talking about it. I don't know. You had a good game plan, and then to lay an egg when it matters. We got to figure it out. Props to them, I guess. We didn't play well when we were on the field. It felt like we weren't on the field. Just didn't play well. Not good enough. So again, team leaders step it up, acknowledging it, say it's not good enough, but it's not good enough. I mean, Jeremy Ruckert saying the same thing, talking about how we got off schedule, whether it was penalties or not being efficient, and then again, talking about how we got to work from it, we're going to look ourselves in the mirror. I like the tone, I like the attitude, I like the accountability, right? But this was just really bad. And it's interesting talking about that getting off schedule. Remember last week I talked about one of the success rates that they had at like 40-something%, which was best in the NFL. We saw Justin Fields be able to be efficient. He wasn't looking like that. He wasn't decisive even with his legs. He had the fumble. He was off on throws. Isaiah Davis in the flat. A couple of Garrett Wilson as well. The Breece and the offensive line weren't moving people at all. So this was a bad showing for the offense. And of course, now Justin Fields is in the concussion protocol. So we'll see about that. It could be Tyrod for week 3 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But it was on the defensive side of the ball too. Look, the Buffalo Bills averaged 5.7 yards a play against the Jets. James Cook ran 21 times for 132 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He had some highlight reel 44-yard touchdown with an explosive run, 2 jump cuts to get to the outside. And everyone said it. Jamie and Sherwood said, we haven't played our brand of football. You got to have all the details. We didn't put it out there. Andre Sisco, it says extremely disappointing. We have to look in the mirror, kind of the same language everybody's using, right? Sauce saying we got to be better all around. The stupid penalties, the missed tackles. We're talking about all the same things here. And Sherwood Leader on the defense, says it's a defense, you got to stick together. People are going to say this, say that. We got to believe in the process, and we're going to get better. He says the next thing we'll be shutting teams down soon. That may be the case, but that was not the case in week 2 against the Buffalo Bills. The offense wasn't there, the defense wasn't there. James Cook running wild against this defense. Josh Allen didn't even really have to throw the ball much, right? We looked putrid on offense all 3 phases, and then again, the stuff that Aaron Glenn emphasizes, the silly penalties were there. The time of possession was not there. The turnover margin was not there. So all in all, a bad week 2, and it doesn't necessarily get easier. We now go on. We've had our first 2 games at home. We're 0-2 at home. We now go on the road to the 2-time defending champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a tough spot. I said it earlier, I want to have patience with this team. And judging by the comments, a lot of you guys are. And I respect that so far. But I said we could look good and still be 0-3, still be 2-4, right? Because of the early schedule at the beginning. But if we don't look good, it's going to be a little bit harder for the fan base to have patience, for the fan base to still have optimism in the Glennaissance. So let's see what some of you guys are saying out there. And this, remember, were comments from before week 2. But Walter Bonsek says, Saleh was too soft on the guys last year. I'm glad Aaron Glenn won't take stupid plays like Xavier Gibson. So what about this week? Does that mean Michael Clemens is another cut to try to send a message on discipline or on taking care of the ball, something like that? So that's interesting. William Lewis, N5Z, says, Coach Glenn is very much like Coach Parcells, his lack of tolerance for fumbling the football, again related to Gibson. Another thing he's been saying is the discipline, the stupid penalties. I wonder about Michael Clemens. I really do. Kelvin, the Jets fan, says, Glennaissance, love it. I love it too, but I have been saying we got to stay patient. It also seems that, listen, the Buffalo Bills are one of the best teams in football, okay? So if we're going to have this turnaround, there is going to be a gap, but this was a poor effort all around. That'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. We're going to see what happens throughout the week. We'll learn more about kind of how they intend to fix it. We'll dig into the stats on how bad it was, because it was a bad game, and we'll get ready for week 3 against the Tampa Bay Bucks. We'll see if the Jets can get up off the mat, or they are staring at 0-3 in the face if they can't beat a division champion on the road next week in an intra-conference matchups, which are always tough to do. So we shall see. Remember also, if you want to hear more from me, spitting statistician Dane Martinez, I am the host of the FTN Fantasy Show on SiriusXM. Maybe your fantasy team is doing better than the JETS Jets right now, and if not, I'm still here to help you win your leagues and win that cash. Remember, if you want to become a Jets Latest insider, click on that link in the description. Exclusive videos, all sorts of perks and other content throughout the football season, and we shall see. Remember, we have to have patience, but this one does not inspire confidence. The Jets looked bad in week 2 in a 30-10 loss against a good team, but it was more about what we were unable to do on all 3 phases. We'll talk about it more throughout the week and get you ready for the Bucks right here on Jets Latest. Stick with Jets Latest and stick with the JETS Jets. We'll talk about it more tomorrow, but for now, we out of here. Peace.